Give me a button. There's the button. Go live. Going live. And you're live. What's up, Tate Roskelley?
How's it going, Brent?
It is going great. Now that we're in here, we're chatting, we're doing it. I'm
Great.
excited to talk to you about your video.
Thank you, thank you. Excited to catch up on what's going on out that way for you too.
Yeah, it's been a minute. First of all, you just had a video come out, and for anyone who doesn't know who this guy is, check out the video, last week's news video, previous news video, first link in the description. Wait, what from GT? My first question about that video is how long did you work on that?
It was a year and a half, maybe even a year and 3/4.
Jeez.
Um, Mike and we both work full time, and our schedules were kind of like off. And not to mention just how you're the same way. Like the way I ride, I don't necessarily get a clip every time I'm out riding.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of thought and all that. So it's not like every day we got out we were guaranteed something. So yeah, it took a while, and then during the filming process, I got transferred to another store. So I got one promotion, and then like 6 months later, I got another promotion, kind of without asking for either. And so like work was just crazy, and my days turned into longer days. But in the end, we made it work. So yeah, it was a while. But all my projects are. I don't think I've ever filmed a video unless it's like a little thing. Like it usually takes me at least a year for a full length video.
Yeah.
Oftentimes more than that. So
I was just curious based on like the quality of every single thing in there. Like every single clip was something that was just like at that highest level.
Thank you. I had a lot of time. With that being said, like I'm always just a big believer in think it out, give it the best you can. You know what I mean? I know you can't do that depending on what video you're working on, but for this, I was kind of like, this is going to be the best I can do in this situation. And I think Mike and I pulled that one off.
Yeah.
I'm happy. And it's kind of crazy because like I was kind of like, oh, well, I know it's good. It's a bit different than like, say, my last section, headlights. But I'd have to say, all in all, the response we got has been better than highlights. I think I've had a lot of people tell me it's my best section, which feels great to hear. And that's got us really, really happy to hear that kind of stuff.
I 100% agree. Like, dude, it's like every single thing is just
creative for sure.
Yeah, it got you onto the 9 Club.
Yeah, crazy was that, man.
Granted that the 9 Club didn't exist for a lot of your previous videos, but at the same time, like, what the heck was that like? Like, how'd you even find that out that it happened?
What's funny is it was getting late, and I was actually down here sitting in my little office, and was watching some videos, and I get a call from Ben Ward at it was about 9:45, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Ben Ward's calling me kind of late. So I answer. He's like, dude, you're never going to believe this. Like, they're talking about your section right now, and they've been talking about it for 7 minutes. And I was just like, what? Like, no way. And sure enough, like, yeah, it all happened. He sent me a link right after, and I was just mind blown on that shit. Big thanks to those dudes. If any of those dudes ever hear this, like, thanks for doing that. It's freaking crazy.
Did you talk to any of them?
No, completely out of the blue.
I mean, like, after the fact.
However, like, when that Slappy clip kind of went viral, like, my buddy Richie Jackson put that, and, like, I feel like the skate culture kind of was definitely, like, either for or against it, but it got them all talking.
Yeah.
I had a feeling, I was like, oh, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, they're going to talk about it on the 9 Club. I thought they might talk, like, a quick second, like, oh, I saw BMX do a Slappy. I didn't do a 7-minute long section with pretty much high praise from those guys. So thanks again, dude.
Yeah, it seemed to be pretty high praise there. You didn't talk to anyone after the fact at all? Like, still haven't?
Yeah, on Instagram, I just kind of said, thanks. With that being said, I was telling you about that week. It was a crazy week. I just had everybody kind of talking to me all at once. So I kind of was just a bit overwhelmed with trying to keep up with everybody. So it was just kind of a thanks through Instagram, and they all seemed pretty stoked.
Yeah.
That, they seemed happy to have me on there, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's super awesome. It's like a transcendental thing.
Oh, dude, I that's my ultimate goal for anything I make. Like, I want to appease to BMXers and whatnot, but I think it's even cooler when somebody that doesn't ride can watch it and be mesmerized by it, as well as a BMX rider. Like, I think that's my main goal nowadays. Is I like, don't get me wrong, I'm a BMXer, but if I can make something that puts a smile on everybody's face or gets everybody talking, that's when I know I'm kind of in where I want to be
Yeah.
with video parts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to Tim Knoll about this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got a very,
Wow, good dude, and I think his video is one of the first ones that I saw went crazy viral, and
yeah.
that was that OSS video I did. That's, I think it's 16 million or something like that now.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking like, I want to do that because he did have all those weird things that was just like, what the hell is going on? But no matter what you're into, it was kind of, you had to pay attention to it.
Right. Well, I talked to him, and that's like exactly what the advice that he gave me is like, people can't, he said, like, the stuff people can relate to because they see it every single day is the stuff that, like, is the most, like, attention grabbing. Like, he talked about his pole spin or whatever, and he's like, everybody walks by a sign on a pole like, all the time.
Yeah.
Seeing
Yep.
some dude spinning around it on a bike is just like, what the heck? So
Yep.
it's kind of crazy to like hear that you guys have a similar mindset on that. But I want to go back to the Nine Club for a second
Sure.
because they ask questions in there, and I feel like we could answer them.
Do it.
The one guy asked the question of like, the video makes him wonder how other BMX riders perceive it. So how do you feel like people perceive what like you're riding?
I would say it's 98% positive.
Yeah.
There's always those young kids that are like shit, and that doesn't bother me. Like,
Yeah.
I want you to have an opinion on my writing, whether you like it or not. I'm cool with it, and I know my shit's not for everybody. But I'd say it's 98% positive. I'm sure there's, I don't know, maybe there's some like pros out there that secretly don't like it and think it's cheesy or whatever, and I respect that if that's how you feel. I don't think anybody like in that position would say something directly to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say overall it's positive.
Yeah.
But you get those kids here and there that'll say shit, and I
Like,
really,
why is this even cool? This is stupid.
oh yeah,
Those people.
this is BMX, and
Yeah,
then
I 100% agree.
overwhelmed with all the comments, so I wasn't really keeping up too much on them, but I did see a few here and there. Like, I saw one on Pink Bike. It was like all these positive comments, and some BMXers like, this is not an actual representation of what BMX.
Obviously. Look at it.
I'm not trying to do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
like anyone who watches what you're doing and thinks that you're trying to be be the mainstream representation of BMX is
I feel set for that.
yeah, they lost the plot there because the whole point is you're doing your own thing. Um, yeah, that was kind of the main thing. I 100% agree. I feel like the vast majority, I've never seen hate on what you're doing.
Yeah, and I believe me, I'm super grateful that, I mean, you don't even necessarily want to go out and do what I have to do. I just want you to at least enjoy it, maybe get a bit of, I don't know, something refreshing out of it. Just like, okay, that was a nice little palate cleanser before we go into the next
Oh
crazy
yeah,
handle part or something like that,
right. And I thought it was really interesting that that guy asked that question because I remember explicitly when that dude did the backflip transfer from one skateboard down the stair set to another. Did you ever see that?
So William Spencer,
I don't know who it
I know
was.
Will Spencer did the front flip skateboard to skateboard.
Maybe that's what it was, but he was rolling at a stair set. He got to the stairs, did either a backflip or a front flip, and landed on another skateboard
Yeah,
at the bottom and kept moving. And I remember after I saw that, I went to the skate park and I asked a couple of skaters there, like, what do skateboarders think of that? And they kind of were like, I mean, they think it's cool, but it's like not skateboarding. So it was kind of
I
interesting.
feel like that's a cop out. And again, have your opinion on my writing as you want, but like for somebody to be like, oh, it's cool, but like
Yeah.
you're kind of, I think there's a bit of maybe a bit of jealousy. Like, well, why is he asking me about that guy? And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a little bit of that with that kind of answer and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think anytime, like, for example, like I was kind of like, of all the video parts that have come out, like the fact that they're dissecting mine on the Nine Club, like I was just like, did I deserve that? Like, there's even a part of me is like, holy shit,
Yeah,
it's just crazy to me, you know.
absolutely deserved
And
it.
let me say, like, I do feel like I deserve that because I did work my ass off and like thought that shit out. Mike put a lot of work into it, so there's that side of me that's like, yeah, I see why it's there, but at the same time, it's like, of all the BMX sections, they're talking about this
Yeah.
one.
On that note of working your ass off, which of those clips took the longest?
Jeez, I don't even know, man.
Because I'm sure they all
Each
took a
one of those,
while.
like, as a story, like I was going in on a lot of those for a long time. I'd say the first one that comes to mind as far as like, you know, that Peg Slide 360.
Yeah.
That took me. I had to go back 2 days on that, and I was getting worked. Like
Jeez.
you wouldn't quite realize that I wanted to do it going super fast, and that was down a kind of a steeper hill than it looks like in the camera, and I was getting broke off. And the way to do that trick is like once you swing past 180, you got to hold your weight like above your bike, so you're going backwards at that point, and you're like putting your weight up, and your like face is like 2 feet from the ground, so you're like looking at the pavement like super close.
Yeah.
Like wants to shoot out from under you,
Oh,
so it's
trust me. I
like
did it on the Resi at Woodward.
oh yeah, you know, yeah.
And
I guess I'm talking to one of the few people that could know what they're talking about on that.
when you get to the backwards point, if you have a cassette, your wheel wants to start moving
Yep,
weirdly, and if your
yep,
foot's on your tire, it just messes up, and it is so damn hard. I only ever landed that once.
yeah. No, it's a cool feeling when you do though, right?
Yeah, oh my God. But also, I can't imagine trying to do it fast and on pavement because I did it on a Resi going as slow as I possibly could.
It was a bit scary. There's we're gonna have a behind the scenes to all that. I think it's about 20 minutes long,
Nice.
and you guys will be able to see some of the slams and stuff like that. But there's just like other crazy stories, like that one clip when I do that tire sliding into the thing. There's a bunch of gravel in there.
Yeah.
That was at a deserted racetrack, like kind of west of Salt Lake, and it was literally like 103 that day. And the light was changing, so I was about to get a shadow on the face of where I was tire sliding. So I knew the light was gonna like kind of ruin the shot, so I just kept going and going, and I ran out of water. And the nearest gas station was like, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes away. So one of our buddies was like, "Oh, I'll go get water." And in that time, so I just kept going. And by the time he got back, I'd landed it, but I didn't really realize how much I exerted myself. And I was like, I think I was pretty close to. I think I was in the heat exhaustion realm, like
Oh, yeah.
heat stroke. Like I got sick. I chugged a Gatorade, and next thing I know, I went from like being all hot to like freezing. Like I was
Yep.
shivering with goosebumps and shit. And I remember like we had to like climb a fence to get out of there, and I barely could get over the fence. And then driving back, I was telling my buddy, I was like, dude, I feel drunk right now. And I felt sick for like maybe 3 hours. And after that, I got this weird runner's high. It was just little things like that. Each and every clip, there was a little story behind how crazy it was. And then you know the bush backflip.
Yeah.
So I was getting wrecked. Like my back, I should have took pictures, but my back looked like I'd been whipped and cut, and like
Oh
it
my
was
God.
gnarly. So I had to wear like some extra layers underneath, and that was another day. It was probably like 98 that day. So I'm like layered up, and it's 98 degrees, trying that trick over and over again. Like it was just there was some brutal clips in there for sure.
Yeah. What about the one of the bush clip that you didn't land that was in the intro?
I'll probably release that. I was trying, so I was right into a bush with my tire loose. It was supposed to maybe be the banger, and then I was gonna hit the bush. Of course, the tire is gonna pop out, so I was front
Yep.
flipping through out a tire trying to land
Oh my
on,
God.
and I got close a few times, but that was on the extreme other scale. That was like October, and was our first like weird cold snap. So it was like 27 degrees that day outside, and I
Oh,
was fine, but like I felt bad for Mike and John were out there filming, and my hands, I don't, you might be able to see it in the behind the scenes, but both of my hands were, I still got a couple scars from just like, I should have wore gloves, but I just didn't bring them. I was like, today's the day I'm going to try it. My face was all scratched up from the bush. I went into work the next day looking like I was got some crazy fight or something, but
no kidding. That's insane.
yeah, there's always that one that gets away, but more than one,
There's always that 500 that got away.
I tried that one a lot too. And
That
everyone like I'm gonna give up, and then I'd get one that was just like so close. It's just like give me that little boost of energy. Like, all right, we're gonna go for another few. Like that was rough.
Yeah, man, I know you're the exact same way, and you can't walk away till you until there's no other choice.
If there wasn't like the human element with like filmers and me feeling bad, I would try shit till I like passed out or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought in my mind, it's like I'm gonna do it.
yeah. There is no in those scenarios. It's just it's gonna happen, or I'm gonna die.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm curious, was the bare rims balancing act tire, whatever you want to call that,
Yeah.
was that? It almost looked like it was easy. Was that easy?
No. No. And I thought it was gonna be easy, and that was an actual wire. That was like a weird military training something or other. I don't know. We got kicked out. That was another 2 day clip.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was going to be that hard, but it was like deceivingly hard. You think like you can double tire, so you think like, oh, just hitting your rims, it's not going to be that hard. But
Yeah.
like it would slide weird, and then every time like you didn't land on it, it was like digging into my drop outs and like jarring my shoulders really bad every time. And so then I started like waxing the front of it because it was like jarring me so bad that it was like hurting my neck and my shoulders. So then I had it waxed, and then when I was trying to pedal, I started like peeling out on it. And just to keep your weight, yeah, that one deceivingly easier than it looks. But when you see the behind the scenes video, I think that'll maybe tell a little bit of a story of why that was a bit harder than you might think.
Man, that is insane. Just all of it. Do you have a favorite from it all?
I I would say that was my favorite intro idea that I've ever came up with.
Dude, that you got me for a
Yeah,
second.
John Tinsley and I were riding the spot, and there was that. It was a newer construction area, and there was that perfect little hole right there. I was just dicking around, and I like got in it, and I was like, John, take a picture of me. And so he took a picture, and then later that night, I was like going through, and I looked at it, I was like, whoa, like there's something to do there, and the idea popped into my head. And then so I went the next day, and the crazy thing, that's at a police station, and so I don't think the police would necessarily take lightly a fake hit and run. You know what I mean? Pressure of like, so John Tinsley was the stunt driver, my buddy there, who also helped film. And so I knew we didn't have like all day to make it happen, and it was kind of scary for John because like he had to get way closer than you'd think. If you can imagine like driving a car and being that close to like hit my legs just 2 feet away from me.
Yeah.
So I kept that. We did a few practice runs. I was like, John, just like you got to trust yourself, man. Like I trust you. Just hit me close once, going fast, and let's just get this over with.
Oh my
And it
God.
took like maybe 3 or 4 takes, but once we got it, I sometimes I'll test clips out on people, just like, hey, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
And so was like, what the, like freaking out.
Yeah.
And so that necessarily wasn't like, I didn't know what I was gonna do with it when I filmed it. I just thought it was a really funny idea. And then Mike and I kind of talked. It was like, if that we open up with that and like people see that, they're gonna be so like confused and surprised that we think we can bait them in to watch the whole video part after that. You know what I mean? Even if you're not a BMXer, you see that and you're gonna be like, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised you guys didn't have him go from the driver's side being closest to you. Like the way
yeah,
that
on maybe we would.
well,
Right?
all you had to do is go the other way, right? Or no, just be on the
Well,
wrong side of the road. Screw it.
they need traffic citation among a
Yeah.
vehicular homicide. So
Oh
that's
my
what he
God.
told me, that he put his, I guess it'd be his passenger side rearview mirror all the way to the down, so he could see where the gutter was and kind of judge his tires on that.
Yeah.
But I have to give John credit because like he definitely had the most stressful part of that clip, because he's just like, don't kill your friend, but get close enough to make the clip work, and let's also not get in trouble with the police that are just a few feet away from us.
No kidding. Any moment.
Crazy part, we got in and out, and yeah.
Yeah, that one. I would be so curious to just see the retention graph on that video because I'm sure that it's not. There's a lot of videos that are like the graph starts at 100% and instantly drops to like 30. I can bet anything that it's most people watched it most of the way through.
I hope so. I knew I wanted to kind of go short and sweet, all killer, no filler, they say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we knew we just kind of wanted to come out of the gate, bam, 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 and hopefully leave people excited, I guess. So
Absolutely. I think it's way better to go a shorter 2.5, three
yeah,
minutes tops is
and
like the
for how
best.
long to get 2.5 minutes, that's kind of how it goes, you know.
Yep.
There's clips that didn't work out that I wish we had, but in the end, I'm happy with it. So
Oh, absolutely. I 1000% should be. Have you already started working on the next one? Or
uh no, I haven't. I'm kind of deciding what I'm doing. I've had some opportunities actually come up kind of out of this. I can't really say anything about
ooh.
uh, some pretty cool things that I've always kind of wanted. So I'm kind of like, I don't know how it is for you, but like sometimes I need a little space between when I put something out to like
Mhm.
get my idea pool clear again. I've kind of been in that murky wake of just kind of like, I haven't really stepped back out of this one yet because I'm still getting a lot of love. So, I mean, thanks to everybody sending it that way, but I haven't been able to kind of back up all the way. So I haven't really started anything in particular just yet. Of course, we'll just keep the Instagram going and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
kind of waiting to see what I can work out with kind of the direction we take the next thing, and waiting to hear back from a few people on a few other things. So
Dude, I'm excited.
big things coming up. So kind
Yeah.
of like, I won't say how old I am because I'm older than most people think I am. And the fact that like all this shit's happening right now, it's just kind of funny. Like I've got the most serious job I've ever had in my life. A lot of responsibility there. I'm getting older, working more than I have, but I feel like I'm also riding the best I ever have.
Mhm.
Kind of this weird spot of just like, it's just kind of weird right now, you know?
Yeah.
Big number because, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird feeling like I'm riding the best I ever have, or at least my ideas are the best I've ever had. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's just the natural progression I feel of it.
Yeah.
And the nature of the types of things that you're doing, you're
Yeah, like
not jumping off of buildings.
exactly. And I respect that 100%. But I feel like maybe with the creative, a little more well, lower impact. You know how it is. We can still get work doing whatever, but
Oh yeah.
career's definitely gotten better in the last few years. I would say
I would
than
definitely agree.
average per se.
Uh what was I gonna say? I mean I consciously have made the choice to like stop jumping giant things to flat. Like
Yeah,
I don't jump box jumps to flat anymore because I realized that, doing a 5 tap saran wrap is way less harmful but way cooler.
yeah. No, it's really yeah. I believe me. I'll just go to 180s and sliders and yeah.
And there's obviously nothing against that. Uh
Sometimes opportunity arises where it's like, oh, I'm kind of rolling the dice on this, but
yeah.
you know what it's like too. Like I think it's uh, just the reward versus what you're risking. If it's
Right.
there, like oh, I'll roll it on this one. You know.
Yeah. And when you get to a certain level, that's what I think like made me go in the direction I have is just to when you get to a certain point, like you have to take it that much further for it to be like worth
Yep.
it when it comes to like doing big stuff.
Yep.
You can only do so many back rail foofanoos before the exact same 4 foot quarter, 4 foot back rail that's 4 foot tall is exactly the same as the 15 other ones that you've done.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's like, well, you could do endless tricks in being creative. So I'd rather do that than try and kill myself pushing it.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that 100%, man.
Yeah. I'm curious if so how different. Okay, so let's compare your ideas to how the video turned out as far as the tricks go. Like, did a lot of stuff end up, your idea end up panning out the way you thought it would, or how many of them morphed into something completely different in the process?
There was a few that I rolled up on, and we just kind of like that tire slide at the racetrack to 180. That just kind of was a thing that just happened. That had a few things just happened, but I would say this one was a little more thought out, knowing exactly what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I got really stubborn. So this video part, maybe more than others, I just didn't give it up until I kind of got it how I wanted it to be. So, and I'm a big kind of adjust as I go guy, but for this one, I kind of had ideas and like this is how I want it to work, and
Yeah.
I'm suffer until it works that way. So I'd say this one I really did get most of the ideas that actually worked out across the way I wanted them to, if that makes
That's
sense.
really awesome. Is that going to influence you moving forward, being that like a lot of people are like, this is your best video ever, and it's exactly what you were trying to do?
God. Yeah, that feeling of like when you put out a video part and you're back to zero, and it's just like, oh, that first step's the hardest one. You know what I mean?
I feel like I'm a little bit different in my approach, so not exactly, because like even right now, right before we got on the call, I was finishing up a video, and there's only one clip in the whole video that is my current bike setup, and then
Okay.
there's only two, maybe three that are the bike setup before that one. Everything else is two bikes ago.
Damn.
But
Okay.
I take a totally different approach to filming, to where I'm on the ramps and stuff and doing things that way, like that just end up happening. I don't There's times where I'll have an idea and I'll be like, "Oh, I want to film this." But most of
Sure.
the time it's just, "Oh, this is random and definitely way too good for Instagram. We should probably just film this."
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a little bit different where like, and man, the last real video I put out before that DVD section thing that I dropped was several years before that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, so I kind of just stacked clips for like 4 years, and now I'm going through them and releasing them.
That'd be nice. I
Well,
feel like I can only work on one thing at a time too. Like I'll do Instagram, but like I don't get how some pros can like film for three different parts at the same time. I'm
I
just like I want every little thing to be kind of how I want it, and I
yeah,
respect
I think it's
that. But
different whenever it's tricks and not necessarily like a setup and a
sure,
total idea that you're working through from start to finish. Where, because like even like right now, talking to you about the videos I'm working on, I've got one, two, I'm working on four videos right now. So it's like
respect, man. I could never do that. That's
it's,
total respect.
but it's totally different. I could never, being in your position, doing the things you do, I couldn't either.
I guess you could look at it both ways, but
Yeah.
everybody has their own way of making things work. You know what I mean? Everybody works a bit different and stuff like that. So, but I do know that feeling of kind of just shit kind of happening and being like, oh, this okay, that's a good avenue to go down right now, and yeah, and then just something you might start over here and it ends up over here, but you walk away with the clip. Like a lot of my stuff in the past has been like that for sure.
The milk crate.
Yeah,
I feel like the
yeah, yeah,
milk crate ends one of those things where you go into the milk crate and you're like, I want to do this. Then you try it and you're like, yeah, that's impossible, but this might work.
yeah, absolutely. And even with that, like I did it, like some of the ideas I started with were like, okay, I have this idea over here, and then I'd kind of work with it, and I'd be like, okay, this is where it's at, so this is what I'm gonna film. Like I like to a lot of those tricks for wait what was kind of like I'd get the idea and have a few days to think about it and kind of plot out where I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna do it. So yeah, it's just it's just the way they way they work.
Yeah.
Might have lost you there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate the way you work. And
Likewise.
thank you. I need to, like, in even just talking to you is like, I want to get back into that creative mindset, because I kind of like moved a little bit away from like looking at things and being creative with it.
Okay, I was gonna say you've always kind of been on the creative side to me, but let's hear
Well,
you out.
I don't know. It's hard. Like I've noticed a clear distinction. I don't know if you would have seen it, but that setup I used at Ray's, where I went up on the ledge, fell onto my back, did the bar, then went back into the quarter fakie. That was one of those scenarios where I went into the room and I was like, I want to use that ledge, but I got to
Yeah,
figure out how I'm gonna do it.
yeah.
So it was that mindset of I'm gonna do that. And there was a period of time there where like that was what I did. I was like, I want to just be creative with things and think of
Hmm.
ideas.
I can relate to that too because like I'll see little things like that hole, for example, with the intro. Like sometimes when I'm out riding, I'll see something. Is like I don't know why that like speaks to me, but it does. And then there's something in my subconscious here that likes this. Like I've got to play with it. And sometimes, a lot of the times, like figured out my full potential, like, I have to go kind of like be by myself around it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I totally know that feeling of like, there's some reason I like this. I don't know why, but I think there's something here. I'm gonna try my best to figure it out. And you can't always figure it out, and then sometimes years later you'll figure it out. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird like that. How it's just little things will jump out at you sometimes.
It's the universe nudging you, like, hey, use this.
Absolutely.
Do you feel that on some of the stuff you do, or like
Almost
ideas?
almost everything. Um, I just think like for me too, like I like to, if I'm really in like trying to get new ideas, I like to go out and ride by myself for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just like ride a curb or something for like 20 minutes, just to where I'm kind of like getting my mind into that free flow state. And once I kind of get into that, where I'm like, I've just done something repetitively, it doesn't have to be related to what I'm trying to figure out. I just like to kind of get into that mindset of what you've been riding for a while. And then that's when I feel like I'm in my creative zone. I
Yeah.
think 20, 30 minutes of just kind of doing something mundane, just getting the feel. And then after that, then you're just kind of like, all right, I'm going to look at things now and see what I can figure out. That's when the magic happens for me. I'm a big believer in that, like, get in the free flow state shit, you know?
Yeah, totally relate to that.
Friends, like, don't get me wrong, ideas will jump out here and there. I don't always have to be in that state, but if I want to give myself the best chance to get there, it's kind of through that little process of like ride for a while, get the blood pumping, and then kind of just approach things like, all right, now my mind's going, my body's going. I'm not going to try too hard. I'm just going to let it come to me, and that's when statistically I get the best ideas. I
Yeah.
would say.
It's so cool that you like figured out a process. And there's literally
Well,
like a science to it almost.
to an extent, because like sometimes there's just those days you're just like, oh, I'm not feeling it or whatever, and something will just jump out of the blue, fall
Mm-hmm.
out of the heavens on you. But again, it's just that's when I get the most is when I'm kind of in that zone.
Yeah. There's a comment here. Let's see a tireless curved rail ride. Oh my gosh.
Well, if you could see how many attempts that took on the wire, doing that downstairs on a handrail. I don't even do really rail rides with tires on,
I'm
so
thinking a flat curved
I'll
rail.
consider it for sure. So thanks for that one.
Oh Jesus. Just get some rims and like widen them out so that they like make a track.
Yeah, you could.
Oh my
Not saying
God.
it means,
How,
but it's
okay,
actually
go ahead.
super slick. Get in if it's like a train track. Like what if you could get on squared up, you'd be fine. Maybe
Yeah,
the trick would be 4 pegs and be ready to double peg or crook it out. Who knows? You
four
know.
pegs is the deal. How you feel about modding your bike for things?
I remember like back in the day, I kind of was just like, oh, that's not cool. But as I've become more creative, you've probably seen my wheel fall off and maybe my stem being loose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for it now. I think, yeah, I mean, who am I to say? But like, I think it could be cheesy, but I think if you got the idea there and like you think it's cool, like go for it.
Yeah,
Like, what I mean? I think people think it's weird that I like do shit like that. And I mean, if it makes for an entertaining clip, why not? Like, if you're having fun, why not? You know?
absolutely. Yeah, I was just curious. There's also extents that you can go with it, like loosening a stem or your wheel coming off. I feel like the wheel coming off might be a little bit further, but like loosening the stem, I feel like isn't totally insane.
Yeah, and who knows? Like, I mean, isn't that why music changes? People like mess with their instrument and shit. Like, why not?
Absolutely. I mean, it's to me, it's no different than adding pegs to your bike or brakes to your bike or having a bigger tire or changing your handle. I mean, change geometry is a little far in the comparison, but
Yeah,
like it's no different than that.
yeah, and yeah, no. It's I mean, would you rather see kind of like a boring clip you've seen a bunch, or like something like, why did he do that to his bike to do that? Like, at least that's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You, there, if it's going to entertain people and you're having fun doing it, like, go that route.
Oh, 1000%.
Like where we are, like, luckily we get a lot of bike parts for free, and I hang on to like a lot of certain parts because it's like, who knows when I'm gonna need to ruin a couple wheels on a wire trying to do this 100 times or something, you know?
Damn, that's a good thought. My brain never went there. I'm like sitting here, like, got all these bike parts. I've never ever thought about trying different things with it.
Yeah, think about it, man. Just, I mean, and I know you do, but just play with it, do something. And sometimes that's kind of what you need too. If I get in a little bit of a funk, it's just like, oh, why don't I just switch something up on the bike and see where that could take us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh my God, I just got an idea. I gotta I gotta write this down. Oh Jesus. I just gotta put enough to remember it.
There you
Uh
go.
Bungee yo-yo. That's what I'll say.
Ooh. We'll talk after this. You have to clue me in a little bit.
I'm gonna do it as soon as it's
Do
nice
you
out. And
down ideas? You know?
what's that?
Do you write down a lot of ideas?
Yes, because I'm my memory for those types of things. I firmly believe, I don't know how into all that stuff you get, but like the universe stuff where it's like you feel like ideas literally are coming from somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And
So
I
how did that? How? Yeah.
exactly.
Go ahead. I'm not trying to cut you off
No,
there.
you're good. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So I feel like if I don't write something down, and it happens all the time where I don't write it down, I'm gonna forget. And the next day, and then I remember to go to write it down. I'm like, no, it's gone.
Yep.
Can't even like slightly remember. It's like a dream.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Um, my approach with that is surprisingly, I don't really write that many ideas down. I would back in the day when, say, Mike Mastroni wasn't living here and he was coming into town, and I knew I had like a week to get a bunch of shit done. But I had this weird thing where I kind of like started to feel like I was having bad luck writing things down. Like if I wrote it down, it wouldn't work. So now my new thing is like I don't necessarily write things down, but I feel like if the idea doesn't go away, there's like something there for me. It's kind of a weird approach.
that's a good one too.
In the last little bit, like I don't really necessarily write it down, but I think about it so much that if it sticks around, it's like, well, it won't leave my head for a reason. Like that newspaper clip,
Yeah.
the newspaper in the mailbox. That was like a subconscious thought I got because I was like, saw a mailbox kind of in a weird spot, and I was thinking like it made me think of Rad, just like the Paperboy scene.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and then like a few weeks later, I saw another mailbox, and the idea kind of came back, and I was like, oh yeah, I thought about that. Then by the second time I saw it, I was like, oh, that'd be like actually kind of cool. But yeah, not telling anybody not to write anything down. Like by all means, like do that. But the way my brain works lately, I just kind of the ideas that won't leave my head are the ones I'm like, well, I'm gonna mess with this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's certainly working for you. You know.
Thank you.
Reminded me of Paperboy. That was okay. I remember when I was watching your video, I got like old video game inspiration thoughts.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering because when we filmed that, I was like, I was talking to Mike. I was like, should we like put like a little clip of like a Rad scene of when they were delivering papers or whatever? And Mike's like, oh, that's not really my style.
Yeah.
And do you think people will get the Paperboy reference? And he's like, I think they will. And to my, thankfully, I feel like everybody did get that reference of the BMX Paperboy. I had a lot of people talk to me about that one, so that was pretty cool that people got the reference without the hint, I guess.
Yeah. I just remembered part of the bike mod thing that I wanted to bring up was the skateboarding on bath salts thing. Have you
Matt, Matty Mosello or
I don't know
Monticello?
people's names. I'm so bad. I just know the videos.
That dude, the dude's a G. Love that dude shit.
Yeah, I've watched that and it's like I almost struggle to like think of how we could even do
Well,
something like that.
but have you seen like there's some behind the scenes videos, like the little mini documentary. I can't remember what it was on, but they talked to him about that, and he
Mm-hmm.
like comes up with all that shit in his room, and he's got all these like hinges, and springs, and stuff, and he's just like constantly experimenting. Then he films a lot of that at night. It's because he like doesn't like people. He just likes to go just with him and the filmer. I think sometimes he even films it alone, and he's just kind of like this like to me like this secretive genius. He's one of the fancy lad dudes,
Hmm.
but really interesting. I'll try and find the link and I'll send it to you.
That is really cool.
But where he's took it is already so like in his own realm that it's hard to be like, well, where do I even start with that shit? You know what I mean? Because it's
And I think that a BMX bike, like the structural integrity of a BMX bike is so important that it would be like really hard to do anything like that and not like die riding the bike.
yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Like a skateboard is a pretty simple
Yeah.
object.
Didn't Ryan Nyquist have that button that he would push? It would make him do a bar spin. Do you remember that?
There was a video where he put he rigged something up with pulleys and like a sander, and there was a person who was standing there
That
with a button, and it would bar spin the bike for him.
and like he did that. Why can't?
It's true.
So I mean, let's put that out there. It's kind of been done.
I'm just gonna lock myself in my room for 3 days until I come up with an idea. Well, I have one actually. It is one of those, the one I wrote down.
All right, well, we'll have to talk after this. I want to hear a little bit more about.
Yeah, and I'm stoked because I'm gonna. I guess I'll say it now because people are gonna find out anyway. But I'm building a new bike, so I'm gonna have extra part to use, not have to worry.
There you go.
I'm ready to get that one done.
See what you're cooking up there, Brant.
Well, it was actually an idea that we talked about in our first live stream, but nothing ever happened from it. So
The good ones take a while to stew, you know. Sometimes it takes a while.
yeah. So in prepping for this, I asked my buddy Sponge if he had any good questions. And one thing he brought up that I thought was really interesting, he said the Utah scene has always seemed to be a creative scene. He listed Behringer, Cam, Tate, Elf. Is there do you think there's anything behind that or any like reasoning or anything like that?
Yes and no. I mean, you got to put Fuzzy in there. Like he was one of the first racers that really started like doing the freestyle dirt jumping stuff like that, and I think that just trickled down to like Behringer was one of the biggest influences on me because I loved what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just all trickled down, and maybe the fact that we're not in California, we're kind of in the middle here. Everybody thinks we're just a bunch of Mormons. I feel like Utah's a lot cooler of a state than anybody would ever think. Like there's a lot of outdoor activity type stuff. So maybe it's just a mix of the right people, the right place. Like we know nobody's going to think we're cool living in Utah, so we have something to prove. I don't know. I wonder that too. And I've talked about that with friends from here, and nobody's ever given me a definitive answer.
It's interesting because I feel like there might be more creative people that have come from Utah than like other big name, like they're, the group of notable riders who have come from Utah, more of them might be creative than not.
Well, also too, like Jordan Utley and Elf, they filmed That's It and stuff like that. So like we've had just good mentors because like Elf's always said it like, yeah, I'm making videos, but I'm not trying to just film like I want it to be a fun video. And he's not saying you have to be creative or anything, but he's also we're not necessarily filming stock this or that either. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
maybe
dude, his clip, his section, was it Headlights? What video did he recently have a section? His section in Headlights, I got so stoked on that because I feel like he kind of uses street obstacles in a way that I similarly use like ramp obstacles, where you're like taking something that people would normally ride anyways and just doing your own spin on it however like you feel you want to, and I just loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the best dudes to ride with too. He's just a good, I don't know. And like another thing that like I'd say we do in Utah is like we genuinely have fun.
Hmm.
And so I think that's a big part of it too, because we're just genuinely out there having fun, and like you'll get ideas when you're having fun. You know what I mean? It's just we're not trying to. Don't get me wrong. We're trying to film good clips, but we're also having a lot of fun. Maybe that has something to do with it too. I don't know.
Oh, the fun 1,000% has everything to do with it in my mind. Somebody said you two need to make a short together called Frankenstein. I'm gonna make a promise live on the internet that one day I will go to Utah and we will make a video together.
You can stay. We got an extra bedroom here. Come out.
I
I've been saying that.
what?
I've been saying I'm going to come out your way too, so I'm just as guilty in that as well. But one of these days, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, and it's getting closer and closer every day. Just saying.
I like that.
Yeah, I just thought that was really cool of a thought to have there. What do you think that doing anything with brakes would open anything up for you?
Yeah, you know what? I last year I built up a parking garage bike, which was just I think I had like 4 pegs on it. I had 2 mags, and I was telling myself all winter this winter that I was going to put brakes on that thing. But it really didn't snow that bad in Utah that I didn't have to ride parking garages.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I do want to. I definitely want to go down that realm. I just didn't do it this year. The only reason I probably don't run brakes now is just like the complicated. I suck at working on brakes and shit. So,
Well, there
well,
we go.
brakes because I do have some ideas that I need brakes for that.
We
So
can line it up with GT, and when I come out there, I'll put your brakes on for
there,
you.
there we the best of that shit. So
That I kind of feel like you've done so much without them that like it who knows what could happen if like
out pretty late in the game though. I mean, I took them off in 2009, I think,
yeah.
and that was kind of late for a lot of people. Maybe I don't know.
I just thinking in terms of like your history of videos and kind of since you gained a lot of notoriety in BMX, like I wasn't aware of who you were until the video with the surfing bike thumbnail.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe it's time. Maybe that could be my next chapter.
Or even just, what might happen with it.
Yeah. No, I believe me. I've got the bike set up for it, so it's just waiting for Brant Moore to come install them.
Hey, let's make it happen. I'm excited about that. Uh, on that note, I mean, I covered everything I have to say. Is there anything about the video that people wouldn't know from just watching it that just like cool, anything cool that like people ever like see you trying something and be like, whoa?
The only thing is just like the biggest thing to me that I was like so glad I pulled it off is just how hard I was working outside, like in my real day to day job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just had to have my days like super structured. Like I'm gonna work today. I'm gonna come home, do a quick workout, and then I'm gonna go try and get ideas. And then I have 2 days off this week, so I gotta capitalize when I'm here. And I say that was the biggest thing for me that made me feel happy is like as I get older, like more responsibilities come up, and the fact that I was able to make something like we did was still like working as much as I did made me personally really proud of myself. Let's say that's something. Does that kind of answer? Is that kind of where you were going with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that people wouldn't know from just watching the video for sure. It's like it's one of those things I feel like you like go to bed and you're just like, yes, like
Yeah.
I
Oh,
did
yeah.
it.
Those days. Those days.
The best.
What else? I would say, I mean, if you could add up all the time, like between thinking, practicing those ideas, like kind of, I wonder how many hours they actually put into that. I would obviously months and months of like undivided. Yeah, there's just a lot of energy boiled down to that 230. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%. How does obviously GT is letting you do your own thing and not so like
That,
how
they've been great with that. Um, because when I first got on GT, Ben's like, yeah, let's do a video. And I was like, all right. And then it was like 2 years later when that came out. So Ben and Z for being patient with me. But when I was talking to Ben that night that he called me about the 9 Club, I again was just like, thanks again for like not breathing down my neck or anything, because I don't work like that. Like I put so much pressure on myself that I don't need anybody having anything to like tell me how to do things, because believe me, I swear I'm thinking about this more than anybody else is thinking about anything. Promise. So that was cool that they were patient with me, and Ben agreed in the end. It was like, yeah, it was totally worth it, dude.
Yeah. Well, and it would be like trying to force someone to make artwork.
Yeah, and it's like you've like I don't know. I've read like stuff about bands, how it's just like the record label kind of ruins them and shit like that. Like
Yeah.
I totally get that stuff, because it's I'm giving it my 150% every single day, and like anything else that I have to deal with of like time constraints and this and that, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I my own lane, and I'm gonna do what I do, you know.
Yeah, and it's really cool that GT and Z and Ben are just like on board with that, because I feel like that is like the pure essence of BMX, is that like being supported for being exactly who you are, and
Yeah,
not trying to force anything into a box.
absolutely. And that's the only way I can work. It is, you know. That's why I've always kind of like it'd be nice to just be a full-time professional BMXer, but at the same time, like having a real job's only I think helped me become more of a creative person, because it's like I'm not riding my bike for a paycheck. It's nice to get a little bit of compensation for what I do, but at the end of the day, like I just want to make cool art. I mean, really, that's what it boils down to. You know what I mean? Like I'm it's just purely passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's very difficult to, in like the art world, it's essentially you're like a fine artist of BMX, and it is not easy to be a fine artist in the world and live off of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I would say a lot of people who ride professionally and that's their job, like is a job, and they're doing a great job at it,
Oh,
but there's like a huge difference there. And I appreciate your mindset is basically
yep.
what I'm saying.
There's not like a there's really never a time when I'm riding my bike that I am not completely happy being on my bike. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I think everybody has days where it's just like I'm just not like body doesn't feel right. Just my ideas just aren't there. Like I feel like those bad days just help you get to the good days. You know what I mean? Or maybe make the good days feel that good.
Yep. You
But
gotta
90%
have.
on my bike, like I love it. Love every second of it. So
Yep. Well, I feel like we can relate in that sometimes you're 200 tries deep and you're not loving it.
yeah, no, totally.
Or
Exactly.
you're just getting pissed. Like, why is this insanely difficult trick that no one else will ever do not happening yet?
Sometimes when I'm in that spot, like although I'm completely focused on getting the clip, I sometimes think like I am like on try 200. I'm so physically exerted that like I'm gonna feel good. Like I'll feel a lot better if I land it, but like even if I don't, it's gonna feel good just like laying on the ground for a few minutes after. You know what I mean? So like, so there's a silver lining in everything, you know?
Yeah. I just think it's really cool to hear the backstory behind all of these things like that.
Oh, here, I'll give you one more little tidbit of something that you wouldn't expect. You know the last clip of the basketball clip?
Yeah.
That was like I that was just one of those ideas. It's like maybe we could do this, and Mike and I had I think it was like 2 hours to like go film for a little bit, and that was like this weird windstorm that came through Salt Lake. So it was like a super windy day. You can't really tell on the footage,
Mm-hmm.
and that worked within like 20 minutes.
What?
So it's just like every once in a while, one just falls from the heavens for you. You know what I mean? And that was definitely one of those ones. It's just like, okay, like
Yeah, what
we'll
are we
take.
gonna do with the rest of the day now? You
Yeah,
want to go get some food?
exactly.
That is
So
super cool.
I try to have that mindset on any clip I'm going into. Like, well, maybe I'll just get lucky and it'll work quick. You know what I mean? I just tell myself that, and then even knowing there's like 99% chance that it's not going to happen.
Was that the only one that it happened for this video?
Yeah, think if there's anything else, I really think that was the fastest one we landed.
That's awesome.
Surprisingly, yeah.
That's really awesome. Those are the best.
Yep.
When it's just, oh, it's over already.
With you there.
Is provided, I mean, I'm sure there's never a time where you're trying something that you have an idea for and you're not filming it.
Yeah, to that extent, you know what I
But
mean? Like,
there have been a lot of times where I did a trick that I wanted to film before I filmed it, and then I couldn't do it for 200
oh,
tries.
thing. Been there before too. I think a lot of times, like when you know you're filming, you're like, all right, I want to go a little faster, or I want to like do it perfect. So it's kind of like you go from just like, oh, I just want to land it to like, oh, I want to land it fucking perfect now. You know what I mean? And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where that lies for sure.
Yep. That's really cool. So, I guess a really good place we could end this is if you had a young kid, 13 years old, who's starting to ride BMX, who asks you the question, what should I do riding my bike? What would you tell a kid?
Have fun, man. That's I've always been a firm believer in that. Have fun. Do what you like to do. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's
Do it yourself.
that's a big one.
And really, there's like as simple of the answer as that is, like I feel like that's the answer personally.
Yeah, when it boils down, that's what's left.
Do
Hell yeah. Well, everybody, this is Tate Roskelley. If you haven't watched Wait What yet, you have to go see it. I don't know how you couldn't have. I talked about it twice in my news videos. Go watch it, enjoy it, visit his Instagram for the Nine Club thing and the clips that aren't good enough for videos.
it.
And I'm sure we'll have you back on here soon
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
and stay tuned for the behind the scenes. It's coming out. I'm not sure exactly when it's coming out, but it's 20 minutes of behind the scenes, clip by clip, in order of how we filmed it. So,
That's sweet.
yeah, I think should be pretty entertaining as well.
Where will that be and where are you at?
It'll be the channel, so I'll post it. GT will post it. I'm sure it'll get posted around. So,
Cool,
yeah.
man.
Yep.
Well, let's sign off of here and we'll see everybody tomorrow for the news.